Cross save will save gaming. Do you ever love a game that everybody else seemed to hate? A game that you put your time and passion into grinding, exploring the world, meeting new friends online perhaps, but it all disappeared when the game died. Players slowly leached away by new releases and old favorites demanding attention. And at the end of the day, most people, even those like myself who play a wide variety of games in general, are only going to be playing a few games at any given time. Where your friends are is usually a big part of that equation, but whether or not you can even play a game like you want to is a big factor. There are a multitude of roadblocks to face when it comes to playing, in particular, less popular online multiplayer games. Maybe the servers are empty. Maybe the wait times for matchmaking are long. Maybe the game's multiplayer servers have gone offline. Maybe the developer has even gone defunct. It's often a combination of those factors that contribute to a game's death. For me, the games lately I've felt this way towards are Anthem, Gotham City Imposters, and perhaps even now, Marvel's Avengers. Each of them is dead, or close to it, for a different reason. Anthem launched to high sales but poor reception. The development team was shifted away from the project almost immediately, rendering its future as a service game dead on arrival. Gotham City Imposters is an older title that was once moderately popular on consoles, but has never been ported to the PS4, Xbox One generation of consoles, and therefore remains stuck in the past on older networks and endless load times in the empty servers on Steam. Marvel's Avengers, a game I like very much, is on life support after dwindling player numbers in the months since launch have rendered matchmaking useless in practical terms. 3 games, 2 dead, 1 on life support, and all 3 could have seriously benefited from 2 features that saved, if not outright made another game on this list. A game that 2 of these games seek to emulate the success of from the get-go. I'm talking, of course, about the much-loved, often maligned, but still quite popular Destiny 2. Into year 4 of Destiny's life cycle, the game has a strong and dedicated player base. The game is incredibly well optimized, with even some of the newest updates making the newer game assets visually astonishing, among the best on the market. But more importantly for this now somewhat old game is both the PvP and PvP matchmaking elements of the game are still thriving. I essentially never wait for a team in either Crucible or Strike playlists compared to other matchmake multiplayer games I play. It's nearly instantaneous. And because of both the strong player count and the optimization, I can log into Destiny, grab some bounties, sesh a few games in the Crucible, and run a strike with a good team all in about a half an hour. Destiny 2 is in almost every way a perfect game for me, but none of this would have been possible, and I wouldn't have even been playing Destiny 2 anymore in the first place if it wasn't for 2 big features that have kept the game flourishing where others have failed. So let's talk about... I played about 200 hours or so of Destiny 2 on Xbox One when it first launched, but my time with the game lapsed. Friends quit and moved on to newer games or back to old favorites, and I drifted away as well. I came back to play another 100 hours between the Curse of Osiris and Forsaken expansions, but again there came a moment where I put the game down, and I genuinely believed, for all intents and purposes, that I was definitively done. Fast forward 2 years. Destiny 2 is now free to play, and I have a brand new gaming PC, so getting back into it on my new rig won't cost me a cent up front. And yeah, maybe I'll need to buy an expansion or a season's pass or to play with my friends, but I can worry about that later. Sure, it's the same game I've already played, but I won't be running shoddily on my creaky old Xbox. It'll be fresh again. However, Destiny 2 is a big, long game, and even if it only takes 10 to 15 hours for a skilled player to cruise through the story mode, after nearly 300 hours with the game and with my character, I didn't really feel like starting over from scratch. I didn't really want to run the campaign again. I didn't really want to play as a new character. No. What I really wanted, and what was essential, mandatory for me to dive all the way back into Destiny and invest myself again, was for me to be able to play as my Warlock on PC. It's 2019. Crossplay comes to Destiny 2, and I'm all in. My Warlock, the one that I've spent 300 hours with on console, is back, and ready for round 3 and better than ever. Even after years away, Destiny 2 feels like slipping on an old pair of shoes. Seeing an old friend again. I would go on to play another 140 hours of Destiny 2 on PC, nearly doubling my overall total. Last year I went into Seattle to take my dad to a hospital appointment, and I hooked up to the hospital Wi-Fi and used the Xbox Game Pass app on my Android phone paired to a Bluetooth controller to run Destiny strikes in the lobby as I waited. Was it perfect? Did it run as brilliantly as on my PC at home? No. It was laggy. The input delay was so severe, so slow due to the Wi-Fi that it was nearly unplayable. But Destiny 2 had broken a barrier that day. I was playing it because it was the game I wanted, available to me everywhere and anywhere I could want it. I could run a strike at the airport. I could play Crucible on the flight. I could check my inventory and see who's online from the game app on my 5G. It was everywhere. And this is not a brag. There are other people who have played as much Destiny 2 last month as I ever will. But what I want to highlight is how essential crossplay and cross-save were to saving Destiny 2 and keeping it afloat during content famine and fan discord. Cross-save is the incentive to play a game you've left behind, and cross-play is the lifeblood to keep that game alive. Marvel's Avengers is basically dead on PC. I can get games here and there in matchmaking, but it's my understanding that the servers are much more full on console. It would do wonders for my attendance in matchmaking if I could play with console players, but there's no crossplay. And I assume at some point the game will come to Game Pass and I could be taking all this progress with me over to where the players are, but there's no cross-save. And Anthem was supposed to have both crossplay and cross-save, but all that went out the window when the development team was reassigned after the game launched. Whatever good it may have done the game, it never got a chance to materialize. And both of these games are monetized, not with playable content in terms of seasons, passes, or expansions, but rather purely by cosmetics. And cosmetics are fine, but people need to be showing them off to their friends for them to have that kind of intrinsic value that makes them worth spending money on. Again, no crossplay, no cross-save. And Anthem eventually made its way to Game Pass via EA Play, and it's expected that Avengers will do so as well. It's already on PlayStation Plus. And I can only wonder how much good the free-to-play Switch combined with the crossplay and cross-save could do and would do for both titles. Now, I don't know, and I don't necessarily think that these two features alone would have saved any of these games, and I'm certainly no network engineer. I understand that this is a major installation feature for any game company, and if it were easy or cheap, more games would have it. More games would do it. But frankly, more games need it, especially games that want to be games as a service like Destiny, or something adjacent like the Avengers. These games will live and die based on the player count in between major content drops and making sure that everyone can play as much as possible against as many other people as possible. That should be paramount. I'm looking at you, Outriders, which does have crossplay but not cross-save, which is a shame. And maybe it'll come in the future where I can transition from Games Pass on ye old rickety Xbox to a fresh Steam version, but I'm not holding my breath for it. I can't think of a single game with a multiplayer component that wouldn't benefit from crossplay and cross-save. More games should have this. And you know how I know this is a good idea? You know what games do have this? Minecraft and Fortnite, all the way down to the mobile versions. I rest my case.